Welcome to a late IHP show with your 5D mystic. To our future humans and to those who are new, we're going to chit chat about my lovely experience with the communion with God, knowing angels and archangels, and really experiences with them. So one with communion, the communion with God, I was looking at how you might, because I don't use words with dictionaries and whatnot, so how you might interpret it just to make sure that you understand it from Maria's perspective. And yes, it follows with the having a very intimate relationship with the triune God, Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. My good Christian Catholic catechist allowed me to have that. So with my catechism, I got all the way to my communion and my confirmation. And I remember when the Holy Spirit came upon me, because that's how I knew when my second light body, and then third and fourth, and I have a whole timeline. And I knew when I moved into my rainbow body. And then I began to notice when I had archangels and angels and mystic fairies and all of the things you will have probably heard about. And then once I started downloading, I became also a Reiki master and an Akashic record reader who's self-taught. So that opened things up. My Kundalini awakenings, my twin flame 3. And that was even more fascinating than you can only imagine. So communion with God is very special, and knowing angels and archangels. And as I've been telling you, we're all angels of God, by the way. So when people are in our 3D, 4D, brothers and sisters frequency, we talked all about them, their Pinocchio Island. We're going to leave it alone because, we're not here to tell people how to live their life. So if they are not wanting to get their bodies connected, that's on them, not on us. And that's where there are plenty of sciences out there confirming what spirituality has shared. God shares, the kingdom of God is within you. Jesus shares that. God shares in different ways, different books, but basically I know we're all made the same. So the difference is the ones who are denying decentralizing in the self, and the explanation of scientists of that, and the religious self and how the embodied brain works, they're denying to allow all their children to get home to their true self. So with that, though, they're not the only voices. Number one, we have a lovely book. I know you've heard about it if you're regular, but I'm a co-author of the book, The Ways to God. So there's 9 of us, and there's plenty more people who tell you about the ways to God through the heart and their stories. Okay, so your life is your making. God does not interfere with it, said Guru. Jesus shares, forgive, for they don't know. When you are body and mind that is in our 5D frequency, you will know that you don't make choices for other people, and that you don't have need for protection. And so while Archangel Michael can cut cords, as I shared with you today, you don't need to ask anything, because healthy self-worth people don't need cutting cords. We will have relationships be recalibrated due to the fact that maladaptive patterns of behavior lead people to continue to not only have a body protected, but to completely be very low on energy and a lot more. Okay, so angels are sent to each other, archangels are sent. And when you pray, if you want to pray to them, and if you're still seeking reassurance in a certain way, I totally can understand that. But when you're in communion with God and you are a channeler, downloader, a medium, an Akashic record reader, a person who's, in my case, again, a mystic mentor, content creator, podcast host, but I have a relationship with my spiritual mystic life. I'm not using my vehicle in a way that I don't know. Okay, so it's very clear when I'm downloading. It's very clear when they're near me, like it was clear when they're like, okay, you're going to start using us. And I'm like, okay, but I'm not going to move to the side. And it's very clear when people don't want to believe in it, which is not our business. So when someone doesn't believe in my communion with God, I already had my teenage boyfriend do this thing. You know the story? Let me share it with you. So, number one, let me reiterate, if you want, tune into some of those other lovely episodes. At IHP, we inspire human potential because we're motivated to be ourselves. Being yourself, the biggest and most best advice I will ever give you. It means body connected. Your nervous system is step 1, and your child parts will come with it. Once you're done, if you want, you become mentally and emotionally intelligent, and you develop that. If not, it's okay. You got plenty of Pinocchio Island people who are actively in the magical thinking of their pseudo-aliveness. It is their unfortunate self-righteous contempt and a lot more unhealed stuff, but it is what it is, because God is good. He gives all of his children a place to call home. And if somebody doesn't know how to make their home, It's because they have cracks in their foundation and chose to not do what is the work. As Patrick Tian points out, childhood trauma survivors, there's a bunch of cowards, he tells his community. Don't listen to them. To those of us who know angels and archangels, they're not half safe. And to those of us who are in communion with God, they're not half safe. When you become a mystic, but you come with God, you're not afraid of because that's exactly what I think of when I'm thinking of the 4D collective of mystics that I've met along my path, who, twin flame, I'm going to bring it to you in a minute, because seriously, it's not even funny. Okay, so Archangel Michael, he is still with us, so let me give him a minute of our attention, as again, we're celebrating angels and archangels. Truth and equilibrium. That is what you'll have when you are the true self, your one and only, because I am death do you part, sickness and health, and for better for worse with Maria, because that's who's going to love me the best of all, and that's who's going to always look out for myself so I can wipe my ass when I'm 80 years old. Luminous warriors, we know what a body connected means. We know what it means to love, and that's because you don't love someone because they're going to give you something that you want. You are actually going to know, as Sadhguru shares with us, and God also, and so does Jesus, that love is not about somebody, love is not an act, love is not anything except for the way you are. And so when you have a body connected, you have a whole 3-year-old heart, you don't get broken, because why would I actually stay broken-hearted? It's my heart. I have feelings. Like, doesn't anybody know how to feel? Depth of emotional, depth of mental, depth of physical plane, as the lovely smart scientists inform us when you do mindful mindset practices with mindsight skills. And so, like Jesus teaches, you forgive for they don't know, Stephen Porges confirmed. You believe without seeing, for again, the mental health professionals all know about this lovely thing called body connected. And then the ones who don't have it, and they can all be healed, like I told God as well, and all the angels and archangels. And then you know that the highest level of spirituality, in fact, is you being your real self in love and life. You love yourself first. Because if you come trying to plug my nose, I'm not going to let you. So I'm self-serving always, because I'm going to save my life physically, because that's how my embodied brain works, because I'm part of the animal kingdom. So anybody who thinks of it, though, in a way of making me selfish, they watch their back all the time. I don't watch my back, because backstabbers are very clear and there's no knife. So I'm not afraid of it. And the actual backstabbers that are figure of speech, I met them when I was a teenager. They're all cowards. And that's why Pinocchio's Island, it's for the cowards. It's not for any monsters. You think the monster, I've been to the lower planes. I've had people in my energy sphere. I've seen things, real things. 5D body type isn't touched by it because sensations are contained. Images, contained. Behaviors, contained. Affects, meanings, contained. Maria, what's going on? Well, God, this is what's going on. Hey, so, Jesus, come on over. Buddha's making fun of me. No, I'm making fun of him. But hey, galactic beings, come on over. So, that's how Maria has conversations with those who are always with me. Open-ended inquiry, no goal, forces you to develop your strength, courage, and curiosity. That's how you create emotional, mental, physical resiliency in the body connected. So it's very easy. It's also why we don't have Dark Night of a Soul. But guess what a fool with a tool that is still a fool does with their words? They like to just use fancy words to say, drag a pain point around some more. Come on, Dark Night of Soul, ego death, ho-ha, come, Kundalini awakening. So whenever someone's trying to make it sound like a fad, I'm like, ooh, there's a big shot. There's another one. Oh, look, they're dressing it up some more. Hey, how can we make sure they know that really it's very straightforward, but the ones who don't want to hear it, they'd rather go and dress it up. No, it's okay. We get it. People who need to dress up, they're insecure. That's why when they speak from their screens, they say, and if they look away, it'll erode your confidence. Oh, hey, who was it that looked away for so long? I don't remember anymore. So that's how it's like, okay, God knows already what my weakness is. That's why he taught me not to play know-it-all. So Archangel Michael guides and directs those who feel lost. I've never felt lost one day in my life. I told the guy, he's like, it's really hard to know what you want to do in life. No, I knew. I'm doing it. I do online marketing, entrepreneurship, and I do spiritual and personal growth for badass people who want to do more mental, emotional stuff because it's really fun to be human. Angels, archangels come around, and we're all angels, just so we're clear, but obviously the archangels are the archangels. We're not dressing up as our ancestors, please. So I'm going to get to the story. Give me a minute. I like to joke here and there. Okay, so feel lost, stuck with respect to their life's purpose or career path, yes. And then he can stimulate the unmotivated or fearful into action. It's not true. If your body is in protection, neuroception, as Dr. Amy Pegan points out, you'll be doing bad resilience because willpower or motivation don't work. And this other woman also proves it. So the number one thing for you to be able to motivate yourself is to get your body connected, to now learn how to keep working with that. Once you're comfortable with that, you can continue, obviously, to use Archangel Michael to give you strength. The power of that which are those beliefs. Okay, so we do know about it, which is why I'm not taking away miracles. No, I'm not taking away from what archangels and angels bring to us. I'm trying to explain to you, though, that those who are 3D, 4D don't move anywhere because they don't realize that their body needs to, if they want to actually have the motivation. I wake up energized because I'm an integrated brain. I own the sense of self, and I am always on. In ventral energy, why would I turn it off? And when I have panic attacks, they're still as uncomfortable as can be, but I'm learning how to be able to handle them. It's not fun, but I mean, I'm not going to complain. I got the good end of the stick. Shakti, Shiva, you know what I mean? It's like empowered feminine, empowered masculine. I got pure energy and pure consciousness. I'm on a roll. So that's why light body, light body, light body. Then you get rainbow body, rainbow body. I got 2 Kundalini awakenings, 3 twin flames. I got soulmates. I got an oversoul that keeps expanding. Merkaba. It's amazing. I remember when I opened up to more. Okay, so thank you, Archangel Michael. He helps us. Whenever you feel afraid or vulnerable, he will instantly come to your side, lending you courage and ensuring your safety, both physically and emotionally. You will feel his warrior-like presence next to you in the same way of a loving bodyguard. And you will also know that if there are those who intended to harm you, they will have a change of mind and heart. And that is actually something fascinating because, again, why would anybody want to physically, or is it emotion? So if I felt that I was in fear of my mind and heart, yeah, no, my mind and heart, no. Yeah, you can't touch my mind and heart. I'm sorry. I don't know who's going to harm what. So when you wield your thoughts and you wield your emotions and you own the sense of self, you see what I'm saying? Intelligent minds, that's enlightened ones. Those are gurus. Those are expert prophets. Those are the in communion with God. They have no question of who they are. Their sense of self is owned. They use their name. They don't have a rule book for you. They'll have, hi, this is how I do things. Hey, these are scientists. They're good for your body. If you seem like you are one of the... So Sadhguru shares stories about a lot of things, one of which is there's a thief, compulsive thief, and the people who are living, disciples, in a guru's little place, they don't want to forgive the thief. And the guru says, no, you have to. And they're like, no. Those are called adaptive child part people who want to carry their trauma charges, their likes and dislikes, and tell people this is the right way to do it. That's why we don't listen to the passe teachings. And anybody who wants to own words, yeah, they're decayed. Yesterday's news, all of it. If they're keeping it in a little box, it's decaying. It's already stagnating. So that's how it works when you got limited consciousness people continuing to think that they can have someone harm their mind or heart. It's okay, go own your mind and heart and then come back around once you're becoming a self of a person. And so magical thinking, okay, so the magical thinking is not because of disrespecting or saying that archangels, angels, or the sphere that is of consciousness is not experienced, just so we clear. So for me, it was very easy to continue my light body, rainbow body, and my expansion. Did I have moments of anger, sadness, and fear? Yes, the panic attacks were the most annoying of every single bit of this. But a lady explained it. When our energy body is in a 4'9" body, it's not as big as the energy body of a big human being. So channeling gets easier. No, the panic attacks get easier. Channeling was always easy because I already knew when it was happening. Downloading, seeing angels, archangels, galactic beings. Again, this is all easy. They're not overwhelming sensations because my embodied brain is one that I call a 5D body type. Okay, so when you do get the honor of having the archangels visit, you'll feel their presence. Angels too. God is a consistent for me. And so with this communion, Jesus, God, Holy Spirit are always. And when I have encountered any kind of the mystic stuff, it's always very weak. Because anybody who can think they can put a spell on you doesn't understand how free will works, and also cosmic karmic balancing. So they're breaking that which is what would be a true promise. Now, the ones who believe in black magic, that's just because they believe there's dark and light, meaning a good and bad. The ones who in fact think that when we're explaining that you're all energy, basically, they think we're the spiritual bypassers, but that's because they think we're trying to say that people don't suffer in the world. Well, we're not saying that. Anyone who is emotionally, mentally, physically intelligent as an enlightened one will tell you there's always the bigger hand at play. You see what I'm saying? We're not it. We're a piece of it. That's what communion with God means. It means I ain't it. That's why, yeah, sure, divinity can descend. I ain't it. The ones who though say, oh, if we use all the word, we're going to let juju in. No, that ain't it either. That's just bullshit. It's a bullshit way to just say, I want to own the words and I want to say it my way. Go ahead, have fun. 3-year-olds don't really care. That's because we're not paying attention to you manipulative, yucky Gargamel with a basically stuck up your ass who's annoying, and you're just wanting to make it sound like you're scary, but it's kind of like Alice in Wonderland, right? Where he's a little thing and all he has is a megaphone. So yeah, sure, shout, 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 put your hands up and shout, go hands. Okay, so when you meet, the bigger they sound, the more they don't have any kind of real strength. Real strength comes from discerning, equanimous, loving tone, which is what God's tone is. As for shouting, comes not from God or source or Akash. Shouting and all this very unhealthy frequency comes from, it's a very unfortunate business. I have been around it sometimes. Yeah, I don't like it. And so when you do have archangels, angels visit you, and you are in communion with God, and so you know that you're always sent to places and ways that you're supposed to go. Okay, so Jesus taught me to forgive. I get to be, I'm present, right? All my brothers and sisters are angels, but they can choose love and healthy fear, or they might not. Okay, so when they don't choose healthy love and fear, they will automatically not be part of our Pleiadian collective, because they won't want to be those who can see the truth and see balance, because they don't want to get their luminous warrior act on, their body connected, because they don't believe in it, because they're creating story, like Stephen Porges points out in All the Good Therapists. It's deflecting, it's what it's called. They'd rather have their maladaptive patterns. That's why I told you about the stories I did today. So when my friends were actually serious about what they're saying to me, I'm not going to judge them, because I don't care. It's their life. But they're actively in my face letting me know the sad story of they're committing to being functional alcoholics or drug addicts. And as long as they follow the rules, nobody's going to think of them as members of society that are not doing what society does. That's why society, when someone wants to use the word integrity with me and they want to talk about polyamory, monoamory, and they don't want to bring in God and they want to bring in a bunch of stuff, sure, keep talking. I'm really going to not pay too much attention. I'm going to watch how you walk and talk and how you wake up in the morning. I'm going to know if I got a true self or if I got a, where's my other ones? I got the ones that I already know about that are out in a desert. They don't want to come on over. No, they'd rather that we actually go and play with them, which we won't, because they're in a dead end and they're pretending, and their unseen shadow parts are all that comes up, which doesn't make them half safe. It just makes them slowly stagnate. My facade friend, and he's not the only one. I have another person, another person, another person. I could tell you about how many times this hand has been supported to come up. Okay, so when you do know that archangels and angels answer your prayers, and so does God, and you're like, okay, God, so listen. I know there's no sirens, because we're all our own siren or lover, since we can choose good habits and bad habits, and I believe in truth and balance and myself, and I love myself first. So since I'm not meant to intervene in anyone's life, would you mind explaining to me how circumstances in the night always merry, laughing, and handsome, and then they mirror an invasion of reflection of trust, while knowing that candlelight illuminates damage beneath the feet with wave of lights, and at the end of the day, would you mind giving me an answer about that, which is this lovely story? So at the end of the day, actually, we always collaborate. And that's why it's really fun to find out answers of that which involve Shiva and Shakti. And so if you were tuning into any of that, Hiri, if you didn't, let me share with you. I think I lost it. Hold on. And yeah, I lost it. But that's for another time. In the meantime, we'll just close on out with another story of the archangels and the angels, and God. So the answers, they're really simple, because at the end of the day, free will. Those who don't believe we have free will, we know who they are, and that's okay. They don't have to believe in free will. But for those of us who do, it's straightforward. When angels present themselves to each other, you get to choose to be love or be love. For the ones who are in communion, again, with God, Akash Source, and you're an empowered feminine energy of yours, an empowered masculine. When, on the other hand, you are not yet empowered, so you're not self-led, and so you don't know how to handle your thoughts, emotions, and your body and your life with twin flames, soulmates, angels, archangels, then you're going to always look for somebody to tell you what the rules are, because your left brain is what you're using. That's why you're still living in a body protected. You're afraid, and you're using what are the stories to give yourself strength, which I totally understand that, but that's why their 4D, 3D is getting still a home. It's just not their body, and it's just not the 5D high frequency. We got a Zen master talks about laundry because he doesn't know how to use his prefrontal. So when you're open-ended and thinking about things, and you're in communion with God and talking, you always get your answers. And you also know, as an empowered feminine, the answers, because the empowered masculine also knows, because we hear very clearly the discerning, equanimous, loving conversations. And then we hear our own frustration, irritation, and it's not a cry for strength or help, because as you get older, so like I still remember when my prayers went from one tone to another tone, as Maria's, I have a journal, and as my light body was expanding. So I went from asking to give strength and support to talking, then from talking to sharing funny stories and whatnot, and then to just thinking, and then to twin flames, and this is where it gets really, really amazing. So if I told you all the stories, which you won't ever get all of them, you would be just as like, what? No way, you know? And when I hear of the ones who want to talk about it as a virtual reality, so like Thomas Campbell, he gives the virtual reality, I think, or something like that, that makes me laugh, because for me, it's God, it's souls, it's energy, it's dark matter, dark energy. It's not virtual reality. It's the universe, according to scientists. I forget how many lifespans or the infinity of universe has, and that makes a lot more sense. And Sadhguru knows about the beginning and end of it too. So we all will know intuitively that there's a beginning and end, and we know what cycles. I mean, he knows what cycles. So some masters are really great. They know a lot of things. And those who are married to the truth, this is why in communion with God and with all that is, like, yeah, the beginning and the end, we just don't know exactly necessarily when it'll be. But we don't need it to be a virtual reality. We can accept that there's an infinity that begins and ends, and that we don't know how many. That's the mastery of the expert yogis. Darkness, not needing to have a virtual reality, have to have some type of purpose or meaning to our existence. It can just be as simple as stars and dust, but it really isn't as you live life, because that's what is beautiful when you're mindfully living life and appreciating 24 hours. Okay, so with the appreciation of the miracle of life, with those of us who are in communion with God, I'm, for example, a person who's pro-choice, because you have the free will, due to the fact that I'm not entitled to be a person who is going to play like I have walked ever in your footsteps. That's what it's called, to have humility and integrity, because you will be aware of you being able to go vote and do laws. So inside of you, you'll know I have something I will want to vote for and do, and there you go. And you're able to talk about it with different people, which is not what we're seeing right now. So people who are in their charges, I mean, it's not like it's the first time, but the part about how those who feel they need to yell about it versus understanding yelling isn't making it a difference. Everyone will have their subjective charitable beliefs. So the people who are not aware of free will to the extent of remembering you are not the caster of the stones. So it's very simple. Don't cast a stone. You're not God. When somebody wants to tell me their divinity and divine and source, and they're doing it by dressing up, they're not in communion with it. If they had been, then they wouldn't be speaking of themselves in a way of making their knowledge and their communion bigger than that of their brothers and sisters. Because the minute you would be in communion with it, and so again, when they're talking about equanimous, discerning tones as spiritual bypassers, negating suffering or negativity, no, there's a difference with the perception of it, because our bodies are not overwhelmed by it due to the fact that we don't have a weak window of welcome to our emotional and energetic plane, because we know how to sit with things. And then we also know how to deal with the unknowns, unexpecteds, unwanteds of life in the absence of using that which is basically a resource in a moment, because it's not necessary due to the fact that things are always happening in life. So you stay grounded in reality. So it's not that, again, the angels, archangels don't come to support. They do. But when you break free from the 4D bandwidth, the breaking free of it means you become completely independent. And that's in a way of being a conscious being who can continue your communion, but knowing that you're the one who's providing yourself with the strength, the courage, and of course with the support of grace and Akash. And actually there's Sadhguru shared a quote that I hadn't read to you yet. I think it's actually opportune to read it. Let me see if I can find it in all of my pictures. Is it this one? Nope. Okay, hold on. Let's see. Give me 1 second. Nope, it's not that one. Okay. Well, it was something about once you're in communion with I know that people think the stories and the words make it different, but really they're from different times for different reasons. That one's about the feminine, but here it is. Maybe it's this one. Okay, well, I can't find it, so we'll leave it alone. But at the end of the day, what I can tell you is that it's very fun as you expand and become more in the relationship with the entire sphere, and then knowing, of course, that people have free will. It's not something that is as straightforward as one would think, but it is as straightforward as when I was explained by my good Christian Catholic catechists, free will. And even in my world religions class, as we were explained to be Christian, there's the only 2 things: repenting for sins, and then it's believing in Jesus Christ as the Son of God, the Son of the Lord. I believe that's how you say it. I always forget my words, but the free will is very important. So while 4D mystics continue to think about black magic as a real deal and all this stuff, what I've noticed is because their energy body doesn't ever become stronger, because they don't work on their body to get it connected in the first place. So their frontal lobes are flopped down, they're using their amygdala, their body is in a complete alert. The way the attachment trauma educators have informed of when sensations overwhelm you. And then Patrick McNamara, with his decentralizing of the self explanation, it's very clear why we have people who were expanding and enlightened many years ago, now they're no longer. And that's also because they have stopped continuing to learn. They are now convinced that their entire little caged model is perfect. There's no perfection, number one. I mean, healthy perfection knows you're consistently evolving, expanding, and learning. And so you thinking, though, that you have a key that is a solution means, one, you thought there was a problem to solve, but also even if you're solving anything, but if you stop learning, you're going to become old news. It's like with marketing. I'm still keeping up with things, and I actually already have areas. I'm like, okay, I need to go find out more about this and that from when I began as an online marketer. Personal spiritual growth, if I'm doing great and dandy, because attachment trauma is already here, neuroscience, neurobiology, I get to continue integrating the spiritual toolkit, and God is consistently here too. So at the end of the day, we are in a good space. The ones who think of there being battles going on, they have a whole different journey ahead of them, and I already was told the timeline, so I knew this would be the timeline. And it's not because we don't come together. That's not it. It's that the frequencies, because when you are around people who are always giggly and happy while you're interpreting things in ways that are completely suffering, not going to want to be around giggly people. And then when people are choosing what outlets to watch and how to watch and what, I mean, so it's pretty clear how that works. But when you're praying to archangels and angels and God, or when you're tapped into the sphere and you're finally clear and broken free from the 4D bandwidth. So when this happened, it wasn't a dark night of the soul, ego, death. So when I'm hearing them talk to you about their experiences, it's always, more than anything, pissed me off. It's like, what were you talking about? My ego hasn't died. I don't have a dark night of soul. There's no shadow work going on. Why are you using these words? Then I got all attachment trauma educated, and I started to understand that they're integrating what is therapy in their verbiage. And then they're integrating stories or words from books, other books. And I'm like, okay, doesn't make sense, because you're human. And you have an ego always. So when I finally figured it out, I was like, okay, these are all people who have not broken free from that 4D bandwidth, and they are still using, in fact, angels, archangels, to give themselves strength, to reassure. So they're not in a relationship with all that is yet. They haven't achieved this grace that Sadhguru talks about. They haven't achieved communion in a way of consistent surrounding with blissfulness, which, by the way, when you look into restorative embodiment, that's what you get to experience. So the scientists, people who know of spirituality, they're like, this is how you're going to get to the higher self, your soul self, and all this stuff. So it's not true that you can't manifest if you have trauma stuff going. You can manifest, but those who are telling you can't is because they're trying to also share with you what your true journey is as a person. In fact, they've grown. I've seen some people that I'm not really 100% fond with because they're more of what's the word? Well, they're like trending topic people. Their verbiage, it's all technical, but they are grown. They've expanded consciously. Others have become buffoons. For as much as they expand their vocabulary, they support ancient news because they support not getting your mental health with that which is a body connected. Your child part's grown. So every single bit of the people who are wanting to carry on with what is transgenerational cultural trauma charges, and so divisiveness, but also ignoring nervous system and getting it in the body connected. That's the key common denominator, are the people who are not authentic and not their true self, and they're still playing a part. And you can tell because they're disliking the equanimous, discerning, ventral vagal tone of those who are consistently compassionate, loving, calling those of us who are this spiritual bypassers or liars or bad ones and all that. They can't stand that we're able to sit in that which is equanimity, which, by the way, if you're mentally a logical person, you would want to be here 100%. Otherwise, you're not logical. You're just somebody who likes to use the word. But any logical person would know how to stand in discernment equanimously and then allow themselves to respect all different perspectives. Otherwise, you don't have logic. In my book, you just, again, are chit-chatting, but you don't know what being grounded in reality means, so you don't know logic. Be grounded in reality. Allow all of your cherishable logical beliefs to sit next to somebody else. Sit quietly and calmly with them. Have a good conversation for 5, 10, 20, 40, 50 hours and more, and have fun with it. And then I'm going to know that you're actually a person who knows what you're talking about. And that is an actual body that's connected and a brain that works with the integrated brain, the way that I've learned about what functional child adults can do, or what our community will be able to do for sure, because again, that's the only people who are going to be back here are the ones who actually know how beautiful it is to be in a body that's amazingly connected. Oh, and with angels and archangels and God. So yes, I will share one more tidbit, and that's where I'll just bring all the stories in, but you have free will and no one can break it. And that's something those who are in communion with God, who know that we're all angels and that no archangels always come, that's it. I gave you 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You've made your choice. You've committed. And it'll be clear because your shame will be consistently binding in the dark sides of neuroplasticity, and eventually you become a donkey from Pinocchio's Island. Also, the energetic imprint is very clear for those of us who have a relationship with our entire oversoul. When it's, oh, look, found its place. Oh, wow, what the fuck just happened? Am I having this type of conversation? Okay, I'm confused. It took me a while before I got attachment trauma educated. Once I did, I was like, okay. Wow. Okay, you did really good, God. That's good. You kept me away from all of these people because, wow, I totally was ignorant on the foundation stuff. And now that I know, I need to be kept far away from a bunch of people because I'm pretty sure they won't want to look in my eyes or maybe I won't look in theirs. And as for the saddest of the stories, those are going to be kept. But yeah, that one was really sad. So that one was one of my archangel prayers when they came to visit. And you don't do anything about that. Free will, everybody gets it. And when you have people you care about, making sure hey, Maria, we like Pinocchio's Island. We're going to play the circus life for the rest of our lives. Okay, I'll see you later, alligators. We will have fun. And I will know that who wants to live forever? So we don't live forever, but we do come back. I'm going to come back. So it'll be fun. I won't remember Maria. I think that's okay. No, I know it's okay because I'm cool. I'm still alive. So it's actually funny to share the story. I'll share this one. This one's a fun one. So this one, I remember knowing immediately that there was a reason for us interacting, and they're part of my oversoul. Like they are actually the reason I'm anchored in Earth. And I know how they came to be because you get downloads of all your lifetimes, and a lot of them, I'm sure I'll get more of them, past, future, who knows. So it's really fun when that happens. And I told them about the different things, different dreams, astral travel, different lives. And then as our bringing to each other that which was meant to bring to each other, definitely, where's Archangel Michael? He helped to cut cords. So do my lovely crystals. I got a bunch of lovely crystals here. Let's show you. So these are all. And as the first round, it was funny because I did know that I made an impact, but I didn't know how much, if good or bad. By the second time I got to interact, I was aware that they needed still more support. So I actually supported them some more. And it was in this second interaction that I actually got to witness what is pretty much Diego's family from Ice Age, which was not impressive. So as I stepped in to do what I could, I was happy to be able to do so. And then at the third time, I was also clear, though, of the free will choices now of the person. And so how far you take that, which is what you're being gifted, depends on you. But here's why it's not as simple as it sounds, because if you have a cracked foundation and you don't have people who are attachment trauma educated and understand what it takes for a person to fully heal, which means good therapy, 10 to 15 years, they need you not to be picking at them with the characterological distinctions. They need you to be able to be supportive even when they fall on maladaptive patterns, because that's the whole point. But that's when people are participating. As Dr. Daniel Fox presents, they know this because smart therapists will tell them, look, you get people who are not adaptive child part, judgmental people. So anytime somebody wants to cast a stone, I leave it alone because they have no right, like I have no right. Judging is not any person's right. If you come in communion with God, you'll know this instinctively, because that's the number one chin, you'll be continuously nudged again and again and again. It was not hard to figure it out. That's why, again, the only thing I know is I was kept away, me, not the other way around. And it was because of my lack of knowing of that which is a person's cracked foundation. Once I got all attachment trauma informed, like, oh my God, I'm so much a better person. I'm able to so much better manage everything because I also know what flags to look for. So it's very straightforward by the third time. If you're doing something that's your wheelhouse, which is why it's not anything more than a Pinocchio's Island. But it's still sad to see. So it's still sad when you're seeing that no matter what angels, archangels, no matter what type of story you've had, and this is the reason why I'm definitely different than when I hear mystics speaking about soul contracts. They begin, they end. They're your brothers and sisters. You don't end or begin stuff that sounds like you're abandoning and rejecting people and turning your face and going the other way. And this is not something that you do. You don't leave someone hanging to dry because you've decided that you're done. You know, what does that mean? So you're in a relationship because you've conveniently been in a race. If a hand presents itself, you don't leave it. You always offer the bridge. That's what it means to be in communion with God. You don't play God. And that's because you're physically safe. So let's be clear. But emotionally immature people, they don't need you to address them with shame or blame or fault or revenge or judgment, because there's no need if you're emotionally mature. If you're immature, that's a whole different story. Then you're not in that 5D collective that I've been talking about, because you don't know how to forgive or turn the other cheek. You don't know how to hear well, which is they don't choose to have the maladaptive patterns of behavior. It's a consequence of their unfortunate beginning, and the cracked foundation is a crappy one, like very bad, very bad. So there's quite the ease. If you're empowered, I've used my ventral vagal tone more times than probably I even realize, and I've probably used it even bigger than just a ventral vagal tone. And that's why people, and I was a teenager, they're like, we thought you were a snob. No. Well, you're picky. No. Or you're selective. Well, do you hang out with everyone? I don't understand what you're saying. So yeah, I don't hang out with everyone. I hang out with who I like and who I actually learn with and have fun with. And you're unclear. But don't you love everyone? Love is because I said yes to God, Jesus, Holy Spirit. You're all souls. Doesn't mean I'm going to have fun. So when people don't like that, you don't want to give people a price, a number, 1, 2, 3, 4, that too. No, you have to have favorites. Okay, fine, whatever. Yeah, of course there are people who will intrigue me. I like the smart ones who are funny, the ones who don't have a negative butthole, the ones who are not in their low frequency, the ones who don't have any cracks and fake the ones who know how to be their self. Did you have anybody who knows how to handle life when it throws you to the ground? Life don't throw you to the ground. Anybody, please stop with the whole. Anybody want to drag a pain point around? Come again? What? Darkness, ego, again, stop. The biggest one was masculines. They'll test you. Come again? Oh, that one for many years. I was like, test who? The morons who don't know how to be their own empowered feminines. Is I ain't getting tested. If there's one thing to this day. So an empowered feminine and a person in communion with God will always know we got the good and the stick, which is why, again, you don't leave anyone hanging, because usually they're the weak ones, and you don't point that out to them because that's not nice. And I said it, yes, weak ones, because a broken foundation means you got a weak one. And it ain't funny to meet a fearful one, and it ain't funny to point it out. And so, I'm going to deserve to be saluted. What the fuck? This is a stranger, by the way, people. Stranger. A stranger who I consistently did this cold shoulder because my men friend said I'm too affectionate. And so I decided, well, I won't give mixed signals. And they said, that's a good thing that you didn't. I said, see, I listened to the men. They told me, and I conquered. The women, well, you could have gotten in his face. Well, you could have been nicer. No. And then mother says, you didn't tell him you didn't like him in his face. That's rude. No, Mom, don't worry. I did exactly as you taught me. I didn't do anything. I didn't look at them. Oh, yes, well, I don't want to socialize with them. Okay, fine. They're unhealthy. They have a daughter. We don't know who the daughter is, the wife. They. So this human being, by the way, is actually a man that is not welcomed by any of the group because they are quite not knowing how to be a human being. So apparently they're an established poet. So just saying, when that happened, I did the self-regulating grown-up thing. It's explained technically speaking, and people who are smart said, oh, empathic boundaries. I said, yes, but compassionate too, because I had a good time. It's not about healthy, what was it? It's not about decency. So when you have a healthy self-worth God, you don't hang out with unhealthy self-worth people. When people think that backstabbers, liars, betrayers, teenagers have their back, and then they defend them as you grow up, because I have a bunch of friends and people that I grew, and they continue as grown-ups saying, no, we had each other's back. Where? Behind the drugs that I'm happy I wasn't around as you all did it? Behind which alcohol? What back? Because I'm pretty sure there's no back. Nobody had anybody's back. And so that's when people are the ones who are, oh, but they're so good. No, we all can be good. But then they don't know how to use their life. So at the end of the day, we don't do pats on the back. By the way, some of us, we just say, look, there's choices to be made. You don't have to all choose to be bodies connected. I mean, what would the world be if we all had bodies that were connected? I don't know, but it won't be happening because my friends made sure I know that they're going to stay in the circus. So I'm going to have circus clowns. Where's my clowns? They're going to be fun to hang around with. So you have fun with clowns. They're always fun. Look how fun they are. You get to see these parts every now and then. It's okay. Sooner or later, they're just going to be like old farts. It really is hilarious once they become donkeys. No, it's not. No, it's not. It actually isn't. I actually, I'm going to go now. But the part about what God's answer is to Maria, it's, Maria, don't judge your brothers and sisters of human suffering, a waste of your fucking time. And I'm like, well, if only they would leave me alone. Oh, Maria, what did Jesus said? Well, he did say to forgive. What else? You got to walk with all people. Well, that's true. I definitely don't want to go sit under a tree. Buddha, stop making fun of me because I don't want to sit under a tree. I'm happy to walk. Fine, I'll go walk with people and have fun. And that's how we do it. This is how we do it. So hopefully you understand emotional maturity, and then, archangels and angels, they support us. And that when our dreams do come true, when we actually ask, not dreams, but so when you pray for something good to happen. And with my first archangel visit, I prayed for 3 things. They all happened. And then for this other one, this thing happened too. And that's why it's always nice. But you also see when the people that get to basically get gifted choice points don't use it, what happens? Which is why then you remember you're not as meaningful as you think you are. Jesus gave us the key to unlock the heart and to bring God to people. But it's the person who chooses to unlock it. So the key is basically you to yourself. Then once you become your own beloved, you have your body connected and you're a luminous warrior. You've said yes to being an angel of love and healthy fear. Now you know how to walk a walk and talk a talk. Mentally, emotionally, physically mature people, which is why we don't leave anybody out to hang. Even if they're a petty fool, we still wouldn't leave them hanging, because that's just something you don't do unless you're in a physically, potentially life-threatening situation, which we all know. That's why there's that subjective, like, you can't say, oh, but you should do this, you have to do that. I know I've told some people, but I have a couple men friends and more, that they haven't helped when I've said, shouldn't we help the couple that's fighting? No. The last time I did that, I got beat up by the woman. You don't tell someone, oh, but you still should. Some will, some won't. But if you got beat up, you got to experience that just happened, and you think it's going to happen again. So it is more of, let's educate and get people to get their body connected, their embodied brain integrated, as those who are children are of the most importance. But the grown-ups, if we have circus acts, they're still actually not leading by example. So too much beer, too much bad movies with drugs, alcohol, the whole fucking, it's not about not fucking at all. I mean, any of those extremists. So once again, it's more of, let's try to share by example. That's what I'm trying to say, is when you're equanimous, discerning, and loving, you're an example. When you know how to talk about the tough stuff with yourself, not with children. Children are children. They're not supposed to be adultified, which is instead what we are seeing happening. So there's a whole topic we could go into right now. But 8-year-olds are emotionally insecure and they're codependent. The grown-ups to do grown-up talk without them and then to treat them in ways that are childlike. And those who don't get it, it's because they were not treated that way. They were in abusive households, which is exactly why we don't support transgenerational cultural trauma and continuing it. So people who don't support it, they know how to be in those which are called ventral vagal states. And again, the angels, archangels support us. They all do. A 4D collective, they have a bunch more stories. And the part about some people staying in a low frequency isn't good or bad. It's your brain has to be the one that says, oh, look, I actually have the signs. I saw a sign and I opened up my eyes. I have low self-esteem, indirect communication, passive aggressive. I continue dating abusive people. I continue thinking shitty things. I continue drinking. I'm so... Instead, what does Maria get? You remember the story, right? Wow, everything you just said, I'm so healthy. This is a man who's got a humongous belly, drinks 7-10 beers a day. So the other ones, at least they drink 5. I don't know which one's better, but he apparently also does drugs. And then apparently he lacks sleep because he says it's all about mindset. Age means nothing. He doesn't sleep. He doesn't exercise. He's got a daughter. And I'm like, a heart attack waiting to... You can't say that. I'm a small person, you see what I'm saying? And it's not my place. Plus they just blurted out, I'm doing so great. I'm doing great. And when you tell the story to another human being who's also fascinating to say the least, oh my gosh, yeah, that one is very funny. So people are very funny, but it's textbook. Stephen Porges tells you when the body gets into mobilization and defense, they make up stories in their head and they justify. And that's why teenagers, the 16-year-old is, as my Sue Martin teacher told me, the fight response is what leads them. They're fighting their own home. But as Janina Fisher points out, it's not self-sabotage. They really just don't want to meet their first 3 years of life because, as Patrick Tiahan points out, the fetal position is the first thing you get in when you're putting your emotional body back online. And then, as Bethany Brand and Ruth Lanius point out, it's really hard. And that's it. And Bezo van der Kolk, you can't talk sense to one. Oh, and anyone, by the way. And then, like I said, repeatable, reliable science. It proves. How do you unlock your best life? By being your authentic self. So be yourself, body connected, ventral vagal state, integrate the brain, get all those child parts. Join us here at IHP for spiritual and personal growth. He's really good. No, we're not liked by all. But God, Source, Akash, Anima Mundi likes us all because we're all love. As for the low frequency, it's unhealthy fear. And they are a dying breed because, that's science is information, the good type. I'm pseudoscience. And spirituality, we have all our stories. Once the part of there's no Lucifer, remember, we found out epilepsy is not the wrath of the gods because we know how epilepsy works. Now we know how the embodied brain works and that we have people who need help with the fragmented state of self and all that good stuff. And no, it's not good stuff, but we have people who are healing and they are very curious about once they're done. I saw a lovely interview with this beautiful lady. She's like, I'm at year 7. And she's like, I can't wait for year 10 or year 15. And I'm like, oh, I need her to meet Kylie. She's a healing narcissist. I want to bring them all together. You know what? Maybe I'll ask them at a certain point if they want to be on our show. That would be an honor. But I don't think they want to hang out with a woo-woo pseudoscience mystic because, we're kind of, you may be right. We may be crazy. We are seen as whack jobs. Just remember that, mystics. FYI, when I got my clairs... Oh, my lovely family. So here's a story. I share it in the chapter that I wrote in the book that I'm a co-author of, The Ways to God. Because as I shared stories with my mystic friends, one of them told me how horrible it was for them because their family was like, you brought bad luck. And so they said, nope, I don't want my clairs. And I was like, what? Why would you do that? That's bullshit. You didn't bring bad luck. You saw it. What's the... And they couldn't handle it. I was accused of bringing bad luck when some of those that I know as teenagers got caught with smoking. I said, you're in school, morons. You're going to get caught. No, I didn't say morons. I was a lot less vocal with words when I was a kid. Then I learned that they don't mean anything because, professionals don't really care, some of them, of their jobs. So I was like, wow, I was acting all like good and smart and trying to use my words perfectly. I don't even need to. Look, people are completely dumbed down now. So I can act dumb and vulgar. And no, I don't think of it as vulgar. I just think some people are old news. And I'm not old news, even though I am old. But my adolescent essence stays. So I got accused of that. I didn't give two shits. What else? Yes, I did get accused of wanting someone ill because of my clairs. That I was able to recuperate, being able to talk about my clairs. And today I can tell you that if somebody disrespects my communion with God, angels, archangels, meaning they think it's buffoonery, it's okay. Because, at the end of the day, they don't want to hear my stories and they actually don't realize what they're doing. So we know some people don't have communion with God. They don't believe in God. They don't believe in angels. They don't believe in archangels. They don't believe in any of the mystic stuff. And that's where for us it's not a belief. It's an experience. And that's why I love scientists when they have to give it an answer into the unknown. There's no answer, scientists. There's none. You don't like it, do you, left brain? Come on, right brain, come on in. We're going to have some fun. That's why an expert yogi, darkness. Hello, darkness, my old friend. I've come to talk to you again. No, we're not going to go to dark forest. In my brain, I can completely sit in silence. I ain't going to forest. Nope. City girl. All night long. I don't want to live in the forest for a reason. I chose to be from the city, with the city. I'm like my cousin Vinny when he was sleeping in the prison. I'll take it every day, then go in the middle of nowhere. As I don't want to be with the bear. It'll eat me alive. So at the end of the day, some of us know what we like. And that is because we have chosen to be from the future. Now, the future is going to be looking great, but it won't look like the past. And some people, they're really sad about that. They're like, but we wanted to always. I argued about the sun being able to always. No, my point was we don't know what scientists will create so that we can live once the sun dies. Because again, I'm grounded in reality. I listen to all the scientist people. Unlike the ones who don't believe the earth is round, they don't believe the moon exists, they don't believe in anything anymore, and now it's just all fake. So it's like, wow, way to make it sound like we're really the crazy ones here, the ones who come with God and archangels and angels. Sure. So someone needs to, entertain us. That's why 5D, we get entertained by all the 4D, 3D ones. It's a great deal, don't you think? I think it is. So here I bring mysticism, spirituality, human, and sciences, and unlock your full potential by being yourself. It was a longer, late show than usual, but I hope you enjoyed, and we will see you again soon.